welcome back to episode 388 of the Purple Rain podcast. The Des Bryant, the Charlie Kolar, Ty Montgomery, Dennis Pitta edition of the Purple Rain podcast. We do have a lot to talk about today. So first off, let's get out of the way. You can follow us here on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. This guy here, Instagram or on X at Sutton Def. Me, Instagram simply as10.prod, X simply as10. And boy, oh boy, a lot of stuff has went down since the last time we talked to you, which was less than 24 hours ago. Which it's the third straight Purple Rain podcast, which might be a record Sutton brought up to me beforehand, and I think it is. It's definitely a different type of offseason. We have a lot to talk about, but first off, just want to ask you something. How are you doing? How are you feeling? A lot has transpired in the last 22 hours. I think we went live around like 8 o'clock my time yesterday.
Yeah, man. So much has gone down. I mean, there's been tons of news from today, from last night, man. We have literally not even had a chance to breathe. Even, I mean, think about how like the rest of what's going on. You ever seen that meme of like the little cat that's like peeking over the fence? He's like, oh, what are they doing over there? You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like
Yep.
that's what it feels like right now, and I'm sure for the rest of the NFL, for us here, like that is happening in house. All of this crap is crazy, man. I mean, like I mentioned, from the Hendrickson stuff, and it's wild. The Maxx Crosby
Yeah.
stuff. We're gonna get into all of that, but before we do, please be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new here to the Purple Rain podcast, yeah, consider joining the Rain Gang. Consider joining the Rain Gang family. We would appreciate that. We put out content here pretty much daily here on this channel about Baltimore Ravens, MMA content as well, if you're in like UFC and stuff like that. And we've got more coming down the pipeline. So if that sounds good to you, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you have not already. But I'm feeling a lot better than I was last night. You mentioned it to me before we went on stream. Like the emotions have kind of stabilized, and I'm low key kind of glad that we didn't, instantly react. Obviously, this morning probably wouldn't have worked, schedules wise and things like that. But like, I'm glad we kind of got time to simmer with a lot of this news, right? And so we can come to you a little bit more level headed, right? And logical, and not just so emotional and reactionary. But yeah, I'm excited to get into it, Alex. We have, again, like you said, a boatload to get into. So sit back, relax, and yeah, let's lock in. Alex, what you
Yeah.
got?
I mean, I think the most crazy thing that happened yesterday, I say sporting wise, was just Bam Adebayo, 83 points is absolutely insane.
Yeah,
Absolutely insane. I before I went to bed, I saw a tweet like somebody said Bam has 77, and I'm like, what are we like 77? What like percentage wise shooting? No,
right.
77 points. Are my eyes playing tricks on me?
How does this happen? Was my first reaction to Bam Adebayo, not Anthony Edwards, okay, not Wimby, who I could see, not Luca, not one of those SGA, not one of those guys, right? But Bam Adebayo, a center. Again, shout out to Bam Adebayo. Real quick, round of applause for him. Breaking records, that's huge. 83 points. However, because I didn't watch the game, obviously, and I haven't looked at the box score, but maybe I should. How did y'all let him get to whatever team they played? I don't even know. But how did y'all let Bam Adebayo amass 83 points? A center, again, by the way. Was he ripping threes to get to this 83? I mean, what was his stat line? Do you know, Alex?
Last time I checked, he was like 7 for 21 from three. I'm seeing he had 43 free throw attempts, and that is remarkable.
That is gambling. That's what that is. That is a referee with a bet in for Bam Adebayo to score 40, 50 plus points, right? At plus however many thousand, for the line. And he's making sure it happens. I mean, what do you mean? He had 40 plus free throw attempts. That makes zero sense to me. I don't know about you guys listening out there, but I don't get that one. I don't get that one at all. But again, shout out, salute.
Yeah.
Salute to Bam Adebayo. Huge news yesterday. But yeah, I mean, what a start. What a start there. Real quick, before we get into anything else, let me bring up who's here in the live chat. We do have a couple of members in the live chat as well. We have Chris M is in the live chat. What's going on, Chris M? Appreciate you for coming through. Bam had 83. Yeah. We also have Tila, the moderator, in the chat says Sutton and Alex giving us the salute there. Salute to you, Tila.
What up,
Thank
what
you
up?
so much for coming through and supporting us as usual. Let me see who else we have in here. I see Stretch 52 is in the chat as well. King Blaze is in the chat. Zico Kage is in the chat. What up? What up? What up? Appreciate y'all for coming through. Chef Spicy Rice is in the chat as well. I know you guys are ready to talk some Ravens. Lisa's in the chat. Showcase, Darlene. What up? What up? What up? Sound off. Deshaun, Chike, the Boulder. What's going on? Appreciate y'all for coming through. JR, Bilal Snags. We do have a new member of the Rain Gang family, JR15, with the membership in the chat. Appreciate you, JR. Thank you so much for joining the Rain Gang, becoming a member here. Thank you so much. Always blessed 410. Another member in the chat as well says crazy last 48 hours. And that's exactly what it has been. That's exactly what it has been. Alex, where do you want to start, man? I mean, because I know we
Yeah,
were talking before, like Trey Hendrickson. You want to start there or
I think it's only right to start with Trey Hendrickson. It really is. And the news
what up,
that
coach?
coach, what up, what up? We everybody predicted it's not just me and you. We talked about it last night. It's like, well, we're gonna sign Trey Hendrickson. And signing Trey Hendrickson is what the Ravens did. 4 years, I think $112 million can go up to 120 million. I think it's on average of 28 million per year. But when you really break it down, is low key a 2 year, $60 million contract. I think you can get out of it after those 2 years. So I'm not mad at that at all. I think I'm cool with that. What he can do. I'm definitely on board with that. It's just kind of this whole Crosby stuff with his I word. And you look at Trey last year, he had the hip going for him. That wasn't looking good. And then you bring him in. So I guess maybe they like where he's at health wise. They know what he can do. I think he had back to back years with 17 and a half sacks. Sign me up. But obviously, his downfall comes in the run game. He is not a huge contributor compared to Maxx Crosby, who is a force to be reckoned with passing wise and rushing wise.
Yeah. If we talk about the net positive of this trade, you are getting again a star pass rusher. Like you mentioned, there are some concerns when it comes to stopping the run. So unlike Maxx Crosby, you know, Trey Hendrickson, he's probably not going to be a three down guy. I mean, I do think that this opens up opportunities for guys like Tavius Robinson to really earn their keep, on this roster over the next season or two, or however long his contract has left. But overall, man, I gotta say I'm happy about this. Like it's a net positive, right? You get a star pass rusher, you keep your 2 first-round picks. The deal does kind of concern me a little bit. And I hear what you're saying, Alex. It really shakes out to be like a 2 year, $60 million deal. The Ravens can get out of it if they so please, if they're not satisfied. However, the way I'm looking at it is like this. I mean, you got another $100 million man on defense, right? And right now we're looking over to the offense like, all right, so what are we going to do over there? I mean, I know we had some free agency signings earlier today. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. But as it stands right now, I mean, defense looking good, looking good, but offense still got some work to do. And let me say this, Alex, before we get into what Eric DaCosta had to say today, explaining the whole Maxx Crosby fallout and the Trey Hendrickson signing and how that led to that, all that stuff. Before we get there, I do want to say this, and I think this is very important to say. While getting Trey Hendrickson is a plus, and like I mentioned, a net positive for this Ravens team, I think the thing that has me so mixed in my emotions right now is that Maxx Crosby, on top of being a better run defender than Trey Hendrickson, Maxx Crosby had more intangibles to bring to the table and offer this Ravens defense than Trey Hendrickson did. Trey Hendrickson is a Raven now. Cool, awesome, love it. But is Trey Hendrickson going to be that guy when the Ravens are down 10 at the top of the fourth quarter against a tough AFC opponent? Is Trey Hendrickson going to be that guy marching up and down the sideline, firing guys up, and having guys ready to go out there and play with their hair on fire? You know, is he going to be the guy who's like that dog who's really like speaking life through his energy to guys like Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton? So I think the lack or the loss of leadership is really what has me kind of like in a torn state right now, and that's how I've been feeling all day. Because again, like I mentioned, Trey Hendrickson, 21 and a half sacks over the last 2 seasons. Cool, right? That's actually more than Maxx Crosby. Love it. I do. Got our 2 first-round picks back. Love it. I do. But just the sheer intangibles that Maxx Crosby was going to bring to this Ravens team is really what, um, you know, has me feeling not as excited as I probably should be for the Ravens acquiring Trey Hendrickson. What do you think?
I 100% agree. 1,000,000% agree. We've talked about it. The guy before the game giving the speeches, we've seen Maxx Crosby, get in Mahomes' face, just really have quarterbacks hating him. Don't get me wrong. He he gets to the quarterback, Trey. It's just like you said, the intangibles. You're not gonna have that. I pulled up the last time the Bengals were in the playoffs, and that was in 2022, where they beat the Ravens, beat the Bills, and then lost to the Chiefs. Trey Hendrickson against the Ravens, wild card. 30 defensive snaps, 0 tackles for losses, 0 sacks. Game against the Bills, 32 snaps, 1 quarterback hit. AFC Championship against the Chiefs, 41 snaps, 1 solo tackle, 1 assisted tackle, and that was it. So it's like, I want to get a playoff riser. Obviously, Crosby doesn't have that same playoff experience. He had 1 game, he had 1 sack. 2021, when the Bengals made it Super Bowl, he had like a sack and a half in a couple of games. I'm cool with that. But given this guy this much money with the Iowa concerns as well, don't get me wrong, it's better than what we have. I'm happy with it, but I'm not over the moon with it. And it's hard to get excited when you know what fell apart.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're absolutely right about that. I see some people in the chat as we have over 260 people watching live right now. Shout out to you guys from watching across all platforms here. This is the Purple Rain podcast, and we're breaking down all of the latest and greatest news from the Real Housewives of the Baltimore Ravens. It's a lot today. But I see a lot of people in the chat saying that, I'm not concerned about motivation. I'm more concerned about X's and O's. I believe Chris, one of our members in the chat, said that, basically strap up. You don't need motivation. You don't need a hype man. I think it's something to the effect of what she said. And, I understand that wholeheartedly. And that's why I'm saying, like, I'm torn today. I am. On the one hand, I do understand schematically, putting a Trey Hendrickson next to Travis Jones and Nnamdi Madubuike, right, and Mike Green when an opposing offense has 3rd and long, that's a very, very scary sight. I get that. But I also want somebody who is going to kind of reinstill that culture, that Baltimore Ravens culture, that play like a Raven culture that it seems like the Ravens had lost over the past couple of seasons. And Maxx Crosby was going to be that guy. So when I'm saying the intangibles, I'm not just saying like, oh, the Ravens need a hype man. Like, you just need somebody who's going to basically upkeep the culture in Baltimore of a nasty physical defense, in your face, pestering defense, gang tackling, bullying. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we've been missing. And I don't want us to lose sight of that because it's the off season and the Ravens aren't currently playing football. So you're not getting to see on a week to week basis how soft this team can be at times. Right. So I'm just hoping again that Trey Hendrickson, he comes in. Of course, I would love to see him get double-digit sacks with the Ravens, over the course of the next 4 years, right? Which is what his deal is. But we just don't know yet. Still a great move.
Yeah.
Got the 2 first-round picks back, but go ahead, Alex.
And everything you just described to me was Terrell Suggs. I think that he embodied what a Raven was. I was so happy about Maxx Crosby because it felt like we were getting another Suggs, a guy who I can see in Pittsburgh when they're waving those towels, getting right in those fans' faces, much like Terrell Suggs did, like just embracing that just character of being quote unquote the bad guy. And I loved everything about that. Just that to me, paired up with what he could bring, he could blow up a play in the run, could get to you, force a fumble. That is what I loved. And I'm gonna be rooting for Trey. It's just gonna be I got to temper my expectations because I don't know if he can play a full 17. And after last year, like I said, he had back-to-back 17 and a half sack seasons. He had 4 last year and does not play all 100 snaps or 100% of snaps. Probably plays around 75% of snaps as well. So we still, I think, should be in the market for an edge rusher. I know they talked about Hendrickson and Crosby. That's cool and all, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
feels like you low-key just blue balled us. Just don't tell me that at all. That
Yeah,
doesn't
for
for
sure.
me.
for
Like, you know what I
for
mean? Like,
sure.
It's
But no, I feel
I
like
think
it tells us something though, Alex. No, doesn't it
yeah,
tell us that at least like, okay, Eric DaCosta, maybe he is trying to like put his big boy pants on and just make something happen, because going out and getting Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson, holy crap. I mean, it tells you what I guess his intentions are, but he kind of half stepped by going back on this Maxx Crosby deal.
take that money and get me some O linemen. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah,
That's where
yeah.
I'm because we got a guy in trade. Like, okay, there's other edge rushers out there I think that could come in and get 7 to 8 sacks, not 15 sacks, but I want my quarterback to be protected, and that's still an awaiting one. So that kind of is where I'm at with that too. Like, I still want to address the O line. No EDC. We'll talk about it. He mentioned he expects O linemen to come in, but that's for later in the show. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, and speaking of Eric DaCosta, and we'll get to that soon here, actually, Alex. But he actually spoke today, and I want to get your take on this, Alex, right here, because last night we were on here, and you broke the news to me live that GMs around the league were calling cap, right? They were calling BS on this whole Ravens backing out, for whatever reason. They smelled BS. They were using the medical thing as a front, and 24 hours later, or not even 24 hours later, you have Eric DaCosta getting up in front of Ravens media on a random Wednesday in March and having to explain himself. Me personally, I think that had Steve Bisciotti's hands all over it, right? Listen, you made this mess. You're going to come in here and clean it up. You're going to face the music, aka the media, and let them know what happened, right? We're not about to just be known as this organization who pulls out of deals after a handshake was already made. I don't think Steve Bisciotti really gets on like that. So he made Eric DaCosta go up there and make things right, basically. What do you think, though?
I agree. I 100% agree. And you saw people were pulling up the receipts with, oh, Ryan Grant and Michael Brockers, and not to prove them right, but those guys never played a full season, or they played 1 year after that deal fell through with us, and they never played again. I think Ryan Grant played 5 games. Brockers played 1 more year, and he was out the league. So there was some validity to those concerns, and maybe there is to this concern with Maxx Crosby. And to kind of step back on what I said yesterday, the Ravens did try to, not offer to first, but still wanted this trade to go through, and the Raiders wanted no parts of it. And now we're kind of getting made to be the bad guys because I feel like we still tried to get this deal to push through, but we found something. And for me, it's telling that I think it was the Cowboys team doctor who they sent these the MRI to and the physical, and he said no. And that's telling to me because now the Cowboys were the other team. You remember that were in for him. They aren't pursuing him. They said we're going for Sean Gary. So like it's not really like just a Ravens thing. I think if he truly was out there, somebody would have traded for him. I know the Bengals were in for him, the Seahawks were in for him. Something would have happened. That's so, but I'm happy that he did face the media today.
Do you think that it's like, do you think that it's like totally off the table for the Ravens to potentially still get a deal done with the Raiders for Maxx Crosby? Because, like you mentioned, the Cowboys are out on him seemingly, and nobody has snatched him up immediately, right, from the Raiders. So maybe that price will come down a bit, and the Raiders will hit up Eric DaCosta and be like, "Hey, you know what? We'll do Crosby for, just one first, and maybe a third or something like that,
Yeah,
or a play. I don't know. That could happen because Eric DaCosta, I mean, I believe he was saying at his press conference that he held about an hour ago to this point. He was saying that, he's still got a good relationship with GMs and execs around the league and things like that, and his phone has not stopped ringing. These are his words, not mine. He said his phone has not stopped ringing. So he doesn't think that this is going to impact future deals going forward. And I think that there is a small sliver of hope
yeah,
that Maxx Crosby is still brought in to be a Raven. I think that Eric DaCosta would want to make something like this right. Especially with Eric, with Maxx Crosby. He mentioned today at his press conference as well. EDC did. He said, he's like gutted basically that this didn't go through. This impacts like a lot of people, including Maxx Crosby. He mentioned it's very, very hard on the player when things like this happen, and things like this don't happen all too often, right? You know, so maybe they do get it right at some point, but I'm not going to sit here and speculate over that and whatnot for at least not too much. But
yeah.
I like what we've got right now. Go ahead, Alex. My bad.
I just love going on Twitter and seeing all the the moral police are out about the Ravens, about how they're a trash franchise for doing this. And like I said, I've kind of changed my tune from yesterday. I was that guy, but when you hear more and more information come out, and to me, the information we're not getting is telling is that nobody else is really in the market for him. Teams are saying no. I saw Eagle fans saying they should find us picks.
Yeah.
Y'all drafted somebody who killed somebody. Like, there's no way you are being the moral police right now talking about GMs. I'm sorry, I'm not going to have that. And you see the
Mm.
Browns fans, you signed Deshaun Watson to fully get like it's funny the moral police come out, and that was weird. Like they were saying how EDC is a crook because he traded them Jair Alexander, who knew that he was going to retire. Yes, I'm sure that Jair told EDC he was going to retire. I'm sure he told him that. So it was very weird just seeing this thing go online and just this discourse, and then you see more and more come out, and then Schefter, putting that out there. Rappaport saying that this is something they wanted to get done. They even tried to get the picks changed, and that didn't work. The Raiders won their 2 first-round picks for damaged goods, and that's what it is. I think they wanted to get more, and they knew he wasn't all the way healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. We do have a question in here coming from my guy Pope. What's going on, Pope? The Commanders fan in the chat says if EDC was actually able to pair Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson, how would that work come extension time for Lamar? So yeah, we're gonna get into that Lamar Jackson restructure, but you know, with Lamar, he's always going to be priority number one when it comes to like trying to figure out how the cap is going to be allocated. And so I just think that kind of like with what Steve Bisciotti said a couple of months ago, like when it comes to Lamar, he's kind of like our biggest domino. We can either kick the can down the road, which allegedly the Ravens did today, or we can sign him, we can make him the highest paid player, we can extend him. It just has to make the numbers have to make sense. So I mean, even if they got them both, which again the reports were that that's what they were looking to do, they would have found a way to still either again make Lamar Jackson highest paid some way somehow, especially with the salary cap going up each and every season, or they would just restructure until the deals finally runs out. Um, you agree, Alex? There,
Yeah, I do. And I saw today we still can extend them, but the signing bonus I think will come out of the cap this year, so we have to keep a large cap amount if it is going to happen.
yeah, yeah. So basically, essentially, what that means is him restructuring, and I didn't want to get to it this soon, but I guess with him restructuring, that means that a lot of that money that we freed up, $39 million that we freed up in cap space, we're going to have to put that towards a Lamar Jackson extension, right? And the bonus money and things like that. So we can't just outright spend all that money that we just freed up from restructuring Lamar Jackson's deal. But more to come on that in a little bit. Let me see. What else do we have from Eric DaCosta, who just got off the podium? Again, I think that Steve Bisciotti put him up to it. Say, hey, look, man, you got to go out there and clean up this mess. We had Cordell Woodland reporting, friend of the show, by the way, says, I asked DaCosta if he was still open to making a big trade that involves premium draft picks. Very good question here. He said, right now, they're back to focusing on the draft. But if a player is available that's worth the premium pick, they would explore it. That's I don't think that like I don't even know who could become available that would be worth the premium pick at this point, but it is interesting to say that, it's not completely off the table
Yeah.
that we could, still deal a first round pick or two, right, Alex?
The only other player that comes to mind is AJ Brown. That where you be giving up premium picks. That's the only one I can think of.
That's true. That's true. AJ, I tweeted that earlier, Alex. I was like, so okay, Ravens got 2 first round picks back, right? They've got like 70 million in cap space. Can we maybe get on the phone with Howie again and see if we can get AJ Brown to Baltimore? I mean, that would be absolutely just huge, right? As you're talking about Trey Hendrickson. See here, and that's what makes me think, Alex, that the Ravens aren't done making these big swings, right? Like because they wanted to get Trey Hendrickson and Maxx Crosby. They blue balled themselves and all of us. Love bombed us, blue balled us, whatever you want to call it, right? And I think that they're still gonna want to make things right. I still think that they feel like they're missing something, as we all do right now. Again, we all love the Trey Hendrickson edition. We fully expect the Ravens, if they were to keep this year's 14th overall pick, to go out and draft, a guard to play opposite John Simpson or Emory Jones, what have you. Um, but I could totally see. them leveraging those picks because they were already planning to get rid of those picks. I mean, the 2 first round picks, like this one from this year and next season.
Yep.
So I don't think that they're emotionally tied to these picks. I know I'm not, for sure. And I can imagine that Eric DeCosta and company up there in the castle, they're not emotionally tied to those picks anymore either because they just let them go. Right? They took them back because of like the whole physical thing and everything like that, which I still think is a bunch of baloney. Like you're saying he didn't pass a physical in March when he just got meniscus surgery in what, January? Right? Like what are we talking
Yep.
about? Of course he's not going to pass a physical. And you guys
Yeah.
are talking about the long term. Oh, short term he should be good, right? But long term we just don't know. Come on, bro. I know I'm going on for a little bit
No,
of a
you're good.
tangent there, but yeah,
You're
go ahead.
good. You're good. I see a couple people in the chat saying Justin Jefferson. It looks like Kyler Murray is going to go there. And let me just play devil's advocate. Maybe he thinks if Kyler goes in there, maybe things will change. I don't think they will. I think they would still be a team flirting with 500 again with Kyler Murray. I'm not that big on them right now, and I would love for him to be a Raven. So I see Cam says 2 first and Bateman. I think they want maybe a little bit more, maybe 2 first and then maybe a second or a third. But I would love to, at least maybe make that call, see what
I'm
they
not
would.
gonna lie, bro. 2 firsts for a wide receiver is a little wild to me. That's wild. And a player? I
Something
get
we've
it.
never had
Jettas.
before. Never
I
had.
kn I know, but I just think that when it comes to like premium positions, the only position I'd be willing to give up 2 first round picks for is an edge rusher, Alex, to be honest with you. I mean, like 2 first round picks for a largely dependent position in wide receiver where so many things have to go right just for the wide receiver to be productive, right? The right quarterback's got to be playing that day, right? The offensive line has to be doing their job. The play calling has to go their way. And so to justify 2 first round picks for a player a player who plays a position that's highly reliant on the rest of his team, I don't really know if I could justify that. But again, sending two first round picks for Maxx Crosby, a guy who literally all you're asking him to do, hey, go out there, see ball, get the quarterback, get him on the ground, right? Stop the run. I'm not trying to make it seem like it's easy to do, but a guy like Maxx Crosby or an edge rusher in general, he's a lot less dependent, right, on the players around him to do his job. So that's why I couldn't really justify the whole Jettas thing or 2 first round picks for AJ Brown. I think a first and maybe a third, right? Or first and a player, something like that, would be good for an AJ Brown. But 2 first round picks is a little steep for me for a wide receiver.
What would you give for Justin Jefferson if he was out there? What's like your max offer you would give?
Max, I mean, I'm like I said, I'll do one first. I'll do a first round pick, but I'm not doing 2 of them, right? I'm not giving up my 2026 and 2027 first round picks for Jay Jettas, right? Who's also going to command a huge bag for again an extremely reliant position. Um, I'd give up a first and maybe I do a first and a second. I would do a first and a second. It's not too far off from the 2 first rounds. I know, I get that. A first and a second or a first and a third. I mean, that would probably be my starting point. First round pick and a third round pick. You know, and maybe a player. But
Mm.
that's just me. That's just me.
What I see, I know he just got an extension too, Jefferson, recently.
Yeah.
He had a
Uh
4-year, $140 million extension. So he's getting 30 million more than what we just gave supposedly Trey Hendrickson.
Let me see here. We do have a super chat donation. This one's from Maddie Boom. Appreciate you, Maddie Boom. Says, would y'all give next year's one for Josh Hines-Allen? That is a no for me, dog. It's a no for me. I don't know what he finished with stat wise last year, but nah, I think I'm all
Eight
set on that.
8 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, 17 games, 3 forced fumbles. His best year was 2 years ago, 17 and a half sacks. But it went, so this is from his rookie year to now, 10 and a half sacks, two
Hmm.
and a half, 7.5, 7, 17.5, 8, then 8.
Yeah, I mean a little inconsistent there, but I mean, it's again, a first round pick, man, you have to be literally bona fide top 5 pass rusher in the league. Outside of that, really top 3, you know? Outside of that, I'm not giving up a first round pick for that. I'm just not. I'm just not. But appreciate your super chat donation, Matty Boom. Let's go ahead and move along here. Actually, wait, I think we got another one here in the chat. This one's coming from who is that? Who is that? Who is that? Let me see. Nightmare Kilo. Nightmare Kilo 84 for dropping the 5-piece in the chat. Thank you so much. Making it rain here on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Nightmare says Jefferson has put up numbers with multiple different quarterbacks, heavily reliant on what? Okay. So what I meant by that, and let me run it back what I said. So a wide receiver has to rely on quarterback play, which he would have no problem with that here in Baltimore. You know, Lamar Jackson is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. However, play calling has to go his way, right? And with the Ravens being a run first team who want to run the ball, run their offense through Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson using his legs as well. And then also you have to consider how good the blocking is for Lamar Jackson. So he has time to get Justin Jefferson the ball. And that's the only reason why I'm saying I wouldn't give up 2 first round picks. I would give up 1, but not 2 first round picks for a player, again, who is very dependent on a lot of things happening in order for his job to go right. What do you think, Alex?
I do agree. I would love Jefferson. I would be willing to give up the 2 first. But I feel like at the same time, you got to have time to throw to your receiver. And now we're still waiting for us to be building that great wall of Lamar for the 5th year in a row. So I guess if I'm getting Jettas, there better be heavy investment in that line as well. But you can't have him and then just not have any protection. Like that good old meme from 2021 with the whole Peniso and Jamar
Yep.
Chase.
Yep. Pretty much. Pretty much. Again, guys, I'm not saying that. I wouldn't give up a first for Justin Jefferson. I would give up a first, but just not 2. Just not 2. Let me see here. What else do we have from today's press conference before we move on? Let me see. So I found this interesting. I think I bookmarked it. Yeah, so Diana Rossini, who's been reporting a lot today on this Maxx Crosby situation, listen to this tweet. It says Maxx Crosby and his family were in the Ravens building while the Ravens were attempting to sign Trey Hendrickson. This was per Diana Rossini on the Rich Eisen show earlier today. She says, and I quote, I can tell you that the Ravens spoke to Trey Hendrickson yesterday while Maxx Crosby was in the building. So that tells you that they were aware that something was going on. Maxx Crosby was there not knowing he was a dead man walking, that this was not going to be his team. That's the problem here. So, I mean, with that being said, Alex, I want to toss this to you. Like, do you think that there's a little bit of conflict in the castle, malice in the palace? Like, it seems like the Ravens are kind of scrambling right now. By the way, 444 people watching live. Shout out to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for coming through to this episode of the Purple Rain podcast, a Baltimore Ravens podcast. But Alex, what say you? What say you to, this whole news about Trey Hendrickson and Maxx Crosby being in the building at the same time? Like, what are we talking about here?
That's kind of crazy to really think about. Like, if that really is true, I got to take it with a grain of salt because, all respect to Diana, she has been a little hit and miss this offseason, especially with this whole AJ Brown stuff. If this were to be true, preface that, definitely some conflict of interest. I get, at least they had a plan B, first off. I'm happy they had a plan B. But not to go with the whole cold feet thing, it's like, would you... Here's what it is. Would you trade Trey Hendrickson and 2 firsts for Maxx Crosby? That's really the main thing. Would you do that? Because I think the Ravens are thinking, well, if we just sign Maxx Crosby, there's our 2 firsts, and we aren't going to get Hendrickson. Because I'm not going to believe EDC with that. I'm not going to do it. I think it was one or the other.
Interesting. I mean, man, I'm just thinking about having both of those guys. Can you imagine just how unstoppable the Ravens defense would be if they were to land Trey Hendrickson and Maxx Crosby? I mean, you might as well wheel out the Lombardi right there, dare I say. You go out there and you try to line up against Trey Hendrickson and Maxx Crosby on 3rd and 8 with Matt Adebike pushing the pocket towards you from the interior. You go out there and try to do that with Kyle Hamilton screaming off the edge or doing whatever Kyle Hamilton's does these days. It's crazy. Speaking of Kyle Hamilton, I think that he just got a really, really nice upgrade on the back end of the secondary. And we'll talk about that here in a second, too. By the way, guys, again, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new here to the Purple Rain podcast. That was about it from the presser today from Eric DeCosta. Eric DeCosta talking about the whole Maxx Crosby fallout situation and how that led to the Trey Hendrickson. Again, I think me and Alex are kind of on the same page with this to kind of put a bow on it. Trey Hendrickson, awesome, great, but some of the steam and the excitement is kind of knocked down a few notches because the Ravens were not able to land Maxx Crosby. So, especially after we were already promised that Maxx Crosby was going to be a Raven. And again, my sentiment earlier, if you didn't hear it, if you didn't catch it, I really just am gonna miss out on the intangibles that we never got to see, but that we knew were coming. If Maxx Crosby would have been rushing the passer for the Ravens, right? He's gonna be the guy, who really kind of resets and reinstills that play like a Raven, nasty defensive minded culture, right? That the Ravens have been missing, and why teams have not feared them. Hopefully Trey Hendrickson can bring some sort of mentality to it. But as long as he's out there getting double digit sacks, hey, look, more power to him, more power to the Ravens for getting that done, especially so soon after the Maxx Crosby news fell out, right?
I think the best part for me is we snatched him from the Colts. The Bills wanted him. The Eagles, like, those teams all want him, and we just came in, swooped him, and then just kind of ran away. They were all, I think him and the Colts were almost a done deal. And that makes me
Yeah.
so much happier. Screwing over the Colts. I love it. I love it so much.
All-time hater right there.
Yeah. Listen, I was on there. They were a fake team all throughout last year, and I'm standing on it. Still gonna
Yeah.
stand.
Yeah. Alex, let's go ahead and move on here. So we also got some really, really big news coming from Lamar Jackson. Apparently, well, it was funny because yesterday, I don't even think we talked about this, but yesterday it was like viral going around that Lamar Jackson's deal was done, right? Because somebody made a tweet saying that his deal was done, and then Lamar Jackson liked that tweet, and that sent social media into a frenzy, like, oh, it must be done. Go ahead, Alex. You got something for me?
Liking tweets. So I guess that means me and you can now say Patrick Queen's a Raven because he liked our tweet. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
liking a tweet, you can. How many times have you liked a tweet that you didn't mean to? I've retweeted stuff I didn't mean to, and like that's gonna be. I mean, we're desperate for attention. We're desperate for news. I guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. Like yesterday, people were just thinking that the deal was done. And I was hoping it was done, but we found out today that they did not get a deal done and they had to end up restructuring Lamar Jackson's contract, much like a lot of us here thought that they would end up having to do. And of course, there's a bunch of cap implications from that. And most simply put, was from this tweet that I saw from Brian McFarland at Raven Salary Cap. I know a lot of you guys are familiar with his work. Does a great job at covering and breaking down the salary cap moves for the Ravens specifically. He said basically Lamar's cap number went down with the restructure, but it will go up if an extension is reached because of a new signing bonus for the extension. So they will have to set aside some of the savings from the restructure to accommodate the increase from an extension. And what were the numbers? Alex, do you have the numbers? Was it? I think it was like the Ravens freed up $39 million in cap space by restructuring Lamar. I believe that's right. Yeah, that is right. That is right. Yeah,
I think 30. It was 39. That was the exact. Here we go. Was it?
I want to say it was like 39.8 or something like that. But they freed up the amount of money that we expected them to by
About
restructuring
40 million.
Lamar.
So
About
about
40
40.
million. Yeah, about 40 million. And this was actually it was broken. This story was broken by Aditi Kikinbwala. Um, Creates about $40 million in salary cap space for the 2026 season. It's similar to what Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen have done this offseason for their team. So interesting, man. I mean, what did you make of Lamar Jackson, his contract? He's not getting an extension, right? The extension is still on the table, right? But he's not getting one as of right now. What did you make of all this, Alex?
I'm glad we did it, but we all wanted the extension. It's like this is just a little like, okay, cool. We freed money, but we still don't have our quarterback extended, and that's all I cared about. And now it's going to be even harder to extend them with, if we sign some guys, that signing bonus now will have to come out of the cap, I believe, this year. So it's you can look at it as a positive, but I think it's a negative. I just would love for the extension to get done and just to not worry about it for a couple more years, personally.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there with you. I mean, having Lamar Jackson's contract constantly like looming over our heads is it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. You want to get him locked up, but I understand why they were not able to come to a deal. Like I've been saying the past couple of weeks, Alex. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense for Lamar Jackson to negotiate for an extension right now. If I'm Lamar Jackson, I'm chilling. You know what I mean? I'm still gonna make what $40 million this season, right? And then after that, you're gonna have a bunch of other guys get paid, and I want to get paid after them because I want to top what they get, right? I want the ante and the stakes to keep going higher and higher and higher. Whether it's CJ Stroud who gets signed next, or Bryce Young who gets an extension, I'll be damned if I let any of these guys leapfrog me quick, fast, and in a hurry, just like last time when I signed an extension. So I think that he's probably going to wait it out. Hopefully they can get a deal done. But I'm glad again. It's a net positive. It's a net positive that the Ravens were able to free up this cap space because listen, man, they've still got a lot of work to do. I think in free agency,
Yeah.
whether that be also via trade as well. I mean, you're going to need some of that cap space, I think, to make another one of those big swings that I was talking about earlier.
So I'm just taking a look. The Cowboys just traded a D tackle, and apparently he was um, one of the players that could have went to the Raiders if they were to trade for Maxx Crosby. So that kind of goes to show you that Maxx Crosby trade to the Cowboys is not going to happen if they had a player discussion, and now he's just been traded to the 49ers. So
Mm.
makes me wonder even more now. So that was the any more EDC news from today? Any more quotes we should talk about?
I don't think so. Hold on. Let me just make sure here. I think he did say something about the extension. He said that DaCosta said that they and Lamar Jackson ran out of time to get to an extension, but he said that they are still hopeful to reach an agreement. So again, it's not all the way off the table, but I just don't think, especially with the sense of urgency
Yeah.
seemingly being gone now, because they had to get this done before today. I don't see any reason for them to come any closer to terms than what they
Yeah.
already were, especially with the urgency playing into play, in the factor. So I just don't know. It'll probably be next season sometime. It'll probably be next season sometime if I had to be honest with you, but we'll see. We'll see. But I
Hopefully.
think that was about it for the quotes, Alex, from today's Eric DaCosta presser. That again, I think Steve Bisciotti put him up to. But let's go ahead and move on here, Alex, to what else do we have? We had the free agency signings,
We had
right?
some signings. We had
Yeah,
some
yeah. Who
signings.
do we get?
Well, we brought back one of our own. One of our own being Chidobe Awuzie. He is a Baltimore Raven again for a 1 year, $5 million contract. Thought he played very well last year. Obviously, for me, recency bias was him slipping against the Steelers, but I'm kind of happy that happened now if that's what got us to where we are today in a whole new regime. He'll be back. Number three, I'm perfectly fine with it. I think probably in the offseason or leading up to the offseason, me and you probably would have taken him back. I think we probably both agreed. It'd be nice to have Awuzie back on the team, and we have it 1 year extension or 1 year contract, I should say.
I love it. I love it. And it was funny because Jeff Zaribek put out a tweet where he was like, it was like a $5 deal or something like that. He forgot to put the million. And Cheeto Awuzie quotes and he's like, yeah, just enough for like a spicy McChicken or something like that. I thought that was pretty funny. But no, I love getting Cheeto Awuzie back. He was probably, no, not probably. I think he was our best cover corner, last season. A lot of the good work that he did kind of got erased in an instant when he had that slip, right? And allowed Calvin Austin to score that touchdown, that go-ahead touchdown that led to the Steelers winning that game and thus stealing the division from the Ravens as well. So, but again, for the most part, you didn't really hear Cheeto Awuzie's name in a negative way that much last year. So I'm glad that they're bringing him back. It definitely bolsters the secondary, and that's not the only move that they made in the secondary, which really excites me, Alex, for what is to come for this defense, this Jesse Minter and Anthony Weaver led defense. Love Cheeto Awuzie being back. Shout out to him. I know he's happy he doesn't have to uproot his family and things like that all over again. He gets to stay put in Baltimore. Shout out to him.
Yeah, And now moving on to another one of our outside. Sorry, it is pouring here. So if I do get cut out something, you know why the power flickered. But
I
moving
can
on
hear
now,
it. Yeah, you're good though.
moving on now to another signing. It's one that EDC kind of mentioned not too long ago was we be in the market for a safety, and
Yeah.
indeed we were. We added Patriots starting safety Jalen Hawkins. Started 15 games last year, helped them get to the Super Bowl. He had 71 tackles, six passes defense, 1.5 sacks, five quarterback hits, and I believe four interceptions. He earned a 27.3 Hawk percentage, the percentage of targets where the defender makes a play on the ball. That was the ninth highest percentage of any defensive player in the NFL. So
Yeah.
that definitely, I think it was a 2 year, $10 million contract. Great contract, great pickup, and it allows us, use Hamilton the way we want to, and the way that Minter used Derwin James over there in LA last year and the previous year as well.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, on top of the Hamilton thing, and that's what I was kind of alluding to earlier, Alex. I mean, you're going to be able to put Hamilton literally any and everywhere that you want to put him. But a little tweet here from Jonas Schaefer, who I guess did some digging on Jalen Hawkins, says the Ravens get their third safety. Hawkins had the best year of his career in New England, number 5 safety per PFF. He played 682 snaps at free safety, 270 as a box safety, and 118 in the slot. And, those 270 snaps in the box, Alex, that's what really kind of intrigued me because you saw at times last year, Alohi Gilman was also in the box and kind of mixing it up and getting down and dirty, getting after the passer even sometimes as well. Even though his tackling was a little bit funky, I think that Jalen Hawkins is an upgrade there in the tackling department. But having him around the line of scrimmage, I mean, you saw him; he was low key shot out of a cannon on a couple of plays last season. Didn't really get the sacks to match it. But of course, I mean, he's a safety. What can you really expect? But he can really put some pressure on the quarterback as well as play back, in space as well on the back end of that defense. So I love this pick overall. Well, not the pick. I love this acquisition overall for the Ravens. Probably some of the better news that came out today for sure.
Yes, and moving on now to our other acquisition. The Ravens agreed to terms with blocking tight end Durham Smythe, formerly of the Chicago Bears. I like this one a lot. Matter of fact, I love it. You see why we let go of Ricard. Declan Doyle does not use fullbacks. He uses a guy like Durham Smythe, we had last year. Now, I know he wasn't calling the plays, but he was scouting, helping draw stuff up. And this guy lined up as a fullback, lined up as a tight end. I was able to go through some of the All 22 film. He he was the lead blocker for a couple of their touchdowns, and he just mauled guys, got him out the way, helped open up holes. They say he'll be like the Charlie Kolar here. I expect him to be blocking more than catching. I doubt he'll get a touchdown this year for us, and if he does, light bill type of thing. But welcome to Baltimore, Durham Smythe, and he'll be leading the way for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I'm still very, very sad that Patrick Ricard is no longer a Raven. And it's something that I haven't even had the time to really process mentally, Alex, because all of this other news has been, keeping us distracted from it. But that's a big loss, Patrick Ricard. So, I mean, Durham Smythe, I'm hoping based off of what you're telling me, also based off of him having familiarity with offensive coordinator Declan Doyle, that they'll be able to install him in a way to where he's effective immediately, right? I mean, we saw last year what Zaire Mitchell Payton, number 84, was put on the field for. I mean, it was ugly. You know what I mean? A lot of the times it was ugly. So hopefully Smythe is a huge upgrade over him. I'm sure he will be, but we definitely needed somebody to fill that Patrick Ricard role. So I'll kind of have to leave my final judgment until I can actually see him on the gridiron. But overall, I think that's a good acquisition as well, replacing what we lost in Pat Ricard in some capacity at least.
Yeah. So that was our signing for the day. A little bit of a well, no, not even a little bit. It was a very, very active day for the Baltimore Ravens. Day 3 of free agency. A lot more guys went off the board today. Guys like Chico Conkle, who I was looking forward to. Clevion Chason, he went off the board. They both went to the Commanders. Guys around the league just, more and more getting picked off. So free agency keeps on going, but the Ravens are, getting a little bit more active with the whole Crosby thing behind them, and they have money to play with, and they're showing it.
Yeah, they are. And again, like I said, I
Oh,
really think that is that an Amber Alert? Jeez, what is that? The tornado alert? Or jeez, man.
it's
That was crazy. That was
it might
crazy.
it very well might be. My phone hasn't gotten it yet, so I mute my mic.
Oh, you're good. You're good. But no, yeah, man. It's overall, I just today I'm really, really taken aback by all of the stuff that just happened. You know, namely the Trey Hendrickson acquisition. By the way, we do have a new member in the chat, and that is by way of a gifted membership from the Flock Rundown. Our friends of the Flock Rundown. Shout out to Ryan over there. He does a great job on his YouTube channel. If you guys are not already subscribed to his channel as well, make sure you go ahead and check him out too. Again, friend of the show. Got to have him back up soon, man. Got to have him back up soon. Appreciate you, Ryan, for that. And the recipient of that membership was Q the God. Appreciate you, Q the God, for coming through, rocking out with us. You are now a Rain Gang member by way of Ryan, the Flock Rundown. So appreciate that. Appreciate that. But yeah, guys, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I am happy about Trey Hendrickson being a Raven. I am happy about the Ravens having their pass rusher, right? You know, if the Ravens were going to go into this next season with the likes of Mike Green, Tavius Robinson, right, and maybe drafting like a day 2 or day 3 guy and just really hoping that he pans out, I was gonna be pretty pissed. I was gonna be pretty pissed. So I think Steve Bisciotti probably would have been really pissed as well. And I think that that's what went into Eric DaCosta literally just overnight. Overnight. By the time I woke up, Trey Hendrickson was a Raven, you know, and like I was just like, whoa. I don't even want to, and that's what I was kind of talking about earlier, Alex. Like I didn't even want to immediately hop on live stream and start talking about it. I was like, you know what, let me let this simmer for a minute. You know what I mean? Because I had to really think about it and like work through my emotions and how I was feeling, you know?
Yeah, yeah, all good, all good. So, I mean, that's kind of been the past 24 hours of the Ravens. A lot of emotions, a lot of highs and lows.
Yeah.
Definitely some low lows. Hopefully, get some more highs, and I think my highest high will be extending the quarterback one. But anybody else? I mean, we think any more moves can happen this week? I think so. I think the lineman's coming in for sure. I know EDC talked
Oh yeah,
about
well
that.
that was another thing. Yeah, that was another thing. EDC said he said at the press conference today, he said that they were going to go ahead and address linemen in free agency. They're going to continue to do that, and then maybe even in the draft as well. So that's kind of a little bit of foreshadowing into what we have to look forward to, you know, for the Ravens. You know, in the next couple of weeks, I would say, do they go after a center or do they go after another guard? You know, in free agency, and like which one do they go after in the draft? I think that they probably end up going for a center in free agency and going ahead and drafting Vega Ione with the 14th overall pick. And if we do that, offensive line is low key cooking. You know, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's the same way I would go. I'm pulling up right now the centers that are free agents still. Lloyd Cushenberry is out there, I see. Ethan Pochich from the Browns. Ryan Bates, I think he retired. Austin Corbett from the Panthers. Danny Pinter from the Colts. Dan Feeney from the Buccaneers. Matt Hennessy from the Niners. And then old friend Sam Mustipher, who should not be a starting center for the Ravens, from the Broncos, formerly of the Chargers and the Ravens. So there's about maybe two of those guys who I'll take as a starter, Cushenberry being one.
Yeah,
Just like you said. So
there's
that's
options
what,
out there, man. But
yes,
I think you got to get a vet. You got to get a vet. I don't think you address center and guard both in the draft. No,
correct.
absolutely
Can't
not.
do
You know, if you want to get Vega and put him at left guard, fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. And then you would put John Simpson as right guard or have him battle it out with Emory Jones. Be my guest, right? But that I think needs to be the course of action over the next couple of weeks and months here when it comes to the offensive line. So, and I see people in the chat saying Cushionberry. Yeah, I like the idea of Cushionberry as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Overall, I think that was about it, Alex. I think we hit all the main points as we're about an hour in. This hour has flown by, guys. It really
it.
has. Real quick, guys, be sure to like this video. Please, please, please leave a thumbs up on this video. It's free. It helps us out a ton here at PRP. It really, really does. If you are new and you have enjoyed the content today, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I know a lot of you guys are watching over on X, as we still have over 400 people watching live across all platforms. A lot of you guys on X. Come over to YouTube sometime. Come over to YouTube sometime and check us out over there. Leave a sub, leave a like. You know, we'd appreciate it. We'd appreciate that. Shout out to everybody who has donated here in the chat. Shout out to all of our members, our new members. Shout out to the Flock Rundown for gifting a membership. We appreciate that. And we will be back here on the Purple Rain podcast here very soon, I'm sure, talking about all the next move, all the upcoming moves, because I don't think the Ravens are anywhere close to being done yet. Right, Alex?
Absolutely not. When you have this money available now, you have the opening. Still want to get maybe another corner possibly if they really feel the way. Maybe another edge rusher. I know Bradley Chubb went to the Bills. I know some Ravens fans talking about him. There is a lot of stuff that will still be happening, and we'll be here. Make sure you check in with us on the Purple Rain podcast. But as always, as freaking always, stay positive and test negative.
Yes, yes, yes. And never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days like today, you guys can hear it in Alex's background here. Still, never, ever forget to call God, man. This has been episode 388 of PRP. We're going to catch you guys in the next video. Peace.